Howdy folks, this is Tony here, and we can finally end the speculation as to who Kamala Harris's vice presidential candidate is going to be, because apparently she has chosen Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota. I know in my last video I stated that she had apparently chosen Josh Shapiro. However, it's most likely that the anti-Israel wing of the Democratic Party encouraged her to go in another direction, because she has now chosen Tim Walz, who actually had the Minnesota flag redesigned to look like the flag of Somalia, which is more of an anti-Israel type of stance. So with that out of the way, we now have a Harris-Walz versus Trump-Vance ticket. And so in light of that, I have to make a brand new electoral map, or rather, I am going to take the lazy way and have GPT do it for me. Now this time, rather than me typing several prompts one by one and entering them into the system, I am going to take one long mega prompt here and I am going to insert it. Do not worry, I am not going to read all of this to you, just going to summarize it point by point. Point 1 is about the conflict in Russia. Point 2 is about the midterms as well as Trump's court cases. Point 3 is about Trump becoming the candidate as well as the October 7th attack. Point 4 is about Joe Biden becoming the nominee once more on the Democratic side of things. However, he lost his debate with Trump and that caused his stance to weaken. Point 5 is about the assassination attempt as well as the resultant endorsement of Elon Musk to Donald Trump. Point 6 is about Trump choosing Vance. Point 7 is about Trump being replaced with Kamala as the nominee. Point 8 is about the fact that Kamala Harris was going to pick Josh Shapiro. However, his pro-Israel stance alienated a lot of Democrats, so she went with Walz. Point 9 is about basic economic indicators, and I could have put a lot more data in this, but I chose to keep it as general as possible to keep this video nice and brief. Point 10 is about the RCP average, and I actually want to look at that for a moment here. Not this one, that's the electoral map. Let's go over here to the RCP average. Right now, Harris is ahead by half a point, as you can see highlighted in yellow here. However, Biden, this time last election cycle, was ahead by over 6 points, and he was only declared the winner by a margin of allegedly 43,000 votes. So Biden allegedly barely squeaked by Trump in that election, despite being ahead 6 points this time. So Kamala is vastly underperforming a man who allegedly barely beat Trump. And she's also vastly underperforming Hillary Clinton, a woman who massively lost to Trump. So this does not bode well for her. Anyway, let's go back to my analysis here. So I've included that aggregate polling average here in point 10. Point 11, this basically addresses the stock market crash that happened yesterday. And down here, I am telling GPT to arrange them by what the partisan lean is of each state. That way, I'm going to arrange my results by partisan lean, and it's going to be a lot neater, as opposed to me just randomly jumping around the map like I did last time, making this video take way longer than is necessary. The last time I tried this prompt, it did not give me results for New Hampshire and Washington, D.C. That is why I have these here. I want to make sure everything is complete. And finally, I want a grand total of electoral votes at the end. So with that out of the way, let's take this mega prompt. Let's queue up our electoral map, as well as GPT, drop it in there, and see what we get as a result. So let's see what we have here. All right, so it's hard at work for us. We're going to work alongside it. So let's start with the safe blue. California, New York, Illinois, Massachusetts, as well as Maryland. I don't know what is wrong in the tap water in Maryland. Baltimore is a dung heap driven to the ground by Democrats, and yet they still reward them with votes. These people, I hope they wake up someday, because that's weird. Anyway, Vermont, as well as Rhode Island, again, big surprise there, as well as Washington, D.C. Again, another big surprise there. Likely blue states. Okay, so we're coming down a shade. We've got New Jersey, Oregon, Connecticut, as well as Washington State. Lean blue states. We've got Virginia, which has been tainted by Maryland people moving down there, Colorado, as well as New Mexico. Although, what must be noted is that New Mexico, as well as Virginia and Minnesota, usually vote blue around the same margin. Tilt blue states. So we've got Minnesota, again, because Tim Walz is only able to keep it in the tilt category. That's interesting. So we've got Tim Walz tilting Minnesota back in Kamala's favor, as well as Nevada. Now, I just want to speculate. I think this is going to be a revision of 2016. I think that's essentially what this is telling us. Now for the tilt red states. And honestly, if she could not pick up any of the Rust Belt states, she's royally screwed. This is basically 2016 redux. Okay, so now let's go to the tilt red states. We've got North Carolina, Arizona, and Wisconsin. Lean red states, getting redder here. We've got Florida, Texas, and Ohio. Likely red states. So they're predicting, or GPT rather, is predicting Trump to flip back Georgia by at least 8 points. Interesting. As well as Iowa and Missouri. Now for the safe red states, it appears as though everything else left on the map is safe red. Wait a minute, is Pennsylvania ranked as safe red here? Is Pennsylvania not listed? I may have skipped it, actually. Let me make sure I find out where Pennsylvania is, because I actually do not see it on this map. I may have to post a follow-up question in order to get Pennsylvania. Anyway, let's continue with the list. We've got Alabama, Arkansas, as well as Alaska and Idaho, as well as Indiana, Kansas, as well as Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, Montana, Nebraska, as well as North Dakota and obviously South Dakota. But anyway, we've got Oklahoma. They don't even have Nebraska splitting its districts here. Maybe it doesn't know down to that level of detail. So we've got South Carolina, as well as South Dakota, as well as Tennessee. We're already knocking on the door here. Utah, as well as West Virginia and Wyoming. Oh, we're already over the finish line. We haven't even addressed the Rust Belt. So I am actually going to ask it about Pennsylvania, because I do not see that it has indicated which way Pennsylvania is going to go here. So I'm going to have to ask it. Oh, here we go. The remaining states it's saying are a toss-up. Pennsylvania, Michigan, and New Hampshire are a toss-up. Did I miss what it said about Vermont? Because I don't think I see Vermont in here, so I'm going to ask it. Actually, Vermont's already been blue, so we don't have to worry about that there. So with that out of the way, here is what we have. It thinks that in a worst-case scenario, Trump squeaks by with 272 electoral votes, and apparently Tim Walz is not going to be adequate to get Kamala Harris over the hump in the Rust Belt, because apparently all Trump really needs is North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, and Wisconsin, and boom, that's the election. So, as a grand summation, what I basically think we have here is 2016 2.0. Because, think about it. You have Trump plus some random guy from the Midwest going up against a cackling, pantsuit, corrupt female Democratic politician and a balding yes man who just follows her around like a servant in the background. Tim Walz is basically Tim Kaine 2.0. In fact, they're both named Tim. So you might as well just say this is going to be a repeat of 2016. So I think that's quite interesting. So my final decision is that worst case scenario, what you're probably going to see is essentially 2016 2.0. So let me just go ahead and fill these in the way I think they're going to go. So I think you're going to see 2016 2.0. That's my opinion. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, as well as have a great day, everybody.